Now, we're going to do a Q&A with our speakers led by Landon Carlton and Lila Wood, my buddies from the Gatton Academy. Landon is a Gatton senior from Rockcastle County, and he researches tumor metastasis using fruit flies. Lila is also a Gatton senior from Edmonson County. She loves to read, crochet, and research bacteriophages. To ask our speakers your questions, post them on X, formerly known as Twitter, with the hashtag IFBG24, and we will look through the feed and read them to the speakers. And we do not have any announcements. And as we're going on, IFBG is hosted by the Center of Gifted Studies. The center offers programming for gifted students, their educators, and their parents. Make sure to stop by their table this afternoon to learn more about summer programming opportunities. The center offers VAMPy, a 3-week program for those completing 7th through 10th grades, and SCAT, a 2-week camp for young people finishing 6th through 8th grades. And after the Q&A, we will have a 20-minute break. Please welcome, once more, John and Christina.
Guys. So you all need to ask your questions to the hashtag if you have any. Let's see what we got. Okay, none yet. So I will ask you some of my burning questions. So Christina, what are some of the challenges that you have faced in your field?
Thank you. On, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, okay. One of the very biggest challenges that we face is that this work of decommodifying farmland and holding land in common is so opposite to what we've all been raised in this Western culture about private property and private ownership. And it really takes a cultural mindset shift to start thinking about how to be in relationship with land in a different way. You know, young farmers, people are always talking about how they want access, security, long-term tenure, independence, all of these things, and the only way they know how to talk about it right now is through private ownership. But there are other ways, and people all over the world are doing this too. So that is that communication, that mindset shift that's needed is one of the larger challenges that we...
Yeah, thank you.
So, John, you went to medical school and you were about to do residency. And, you know, medical school is a big commitment and you were so close to doing residency. So do you regret not pursuing that and taking on your entrepreneurship?
That's a great question. Ultimately, no. I will say that COVID was a time where that idea started to slip in a little bit. We had just expanded into New York City. We were on track to triple our sales in 2019. Just in the first 3 months of 2020, everything was really moving. And when COVID hit, 4 of our top 10 customers were all corporate offices. So think like Facebook, Lyft, Uber. That's where most of our product was sold while we waited to get into retailers because we were still so new at the time. And all of that business dried up. We ended up taking salary cuts across the board and having to let a significant number of people go. All of the giant expansion plans we had for 2020 went on hold. Retailers weren't taking new customers. So it was a really challenging few months, but we pulled it in, pivoted to online, and that ended up being our saving grace. So aside from, we'll call it a couple days of thinking, did I make a bad decision? I can say that confidently, I do not regret it.
Thank you.
Okay, Christina, can you tell us more about how land gets into a land trust?
Yeah, so into our specific land trust. So land is either donated outright from landowners or or we work with landowners who are aligned in vision, value, mission, and how they want to see the future of the world. And they are willing to take a bargain or discounted sale price. They see that farmland prices, land prices, real estate, property, whatever word you want to use, are completely disconnected from reality and are ridiculously, stupidly high. And so they are willing to take a discounted bargain sale. And then we launch a fundraiser that we do in collaboration with the community to raise the funds, because exiting farmers who have spent their entire lives building soil, building infrastructure, building a community, building markets, they deserve to retire with dignity. They deserve that, and we want to be part of supporting that exit too. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. John, so people are interested in your drink, so I think this is perfect time to plug it. One question is, are there any carbs in your drink? And then also someone wants to know where they can buy it.
Two great questions. So it is zeros across the board. So it's as far as calories, carbs, sugar, sweeteners. It is, if you think about it, it's like taking a sparkling water and just adding the caffeine from a couple cups of tea, but it's 75 milligrams of caffeine, the amino acid L-theanine, and sparkling water. So no calories, carbs, or sugar. As far as where you can buy it, we are, as far as Bowling Green goes, that's next year for expansion with Kroger and Publix as well. But for right now, the best place to buy it is on drinkfocus.com. That's PHOCUS. And then on Amazon, you can just search Focus and get it there.
Thank you.
I had one backstage. They were very good.
Love it.
Okay, so are there any really interesting people that you have met in your field? You run into, who's the most interesting person you've met, I guess? That's a good question.
For me?
No, for you.
Oh.
Christina.
Oh, for me. I'm sorry. Can we both answer that?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. It's funny because I think I will meet people and be like, oh my God, they're famous, and realize that not the whole world thinks that. I have friends who are farmer TikTok famous, or they've written books on fermentation, and I'm like, they're the coolest people. Or they started the biggest organic farm in their state, or they radicalized something in farming and food, but maybe not you wouldn't see them on television or on the radio. But so yeah, I'm not gonna drop names because that feels awkward too. But yeah, get to meet a lot of cool people. It's very radical, revolutionary work, and I think people are really drawn to that. So.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense that you have kind of famous people in your field. So what about you?
I'll drop names.
Okay.
We just wrapped up a one-year partnership with Jack Harlow, where he did his own brand with us. And then we've worked with, if you're familiar with Ninja, the video gamer, a couple of NFL players. So we've had the opportunity to, this has put me in a position where we've met cool people, and you see that there's a need for, it's becoming very familiar or very popular for influencers, think of Logan Paul or think of Prime, to have their own beverages. So that's one of the spaces that we've played in, and that has been really successful for us.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, thank you.
So, Christina, someone wants to know, why should they care about if land gets stolen from people?
Why should people care if land is stolen from people? Yeah, that is a very layered question. There are many parts to that. We find ourselves in this moment of time, and we could think about it as just right here, right now. Maybe it was an accident to how we got to the fact that 98% of land is owned by white people, or maybe there was historical, systematic reasons and actions that were purposeful, like discriminatory practices from the USDA, or land theft, or the genocide of indigenous people. There are many reasons that we are here at this moment today. And it really, sovereignty in food starts with land. We have found through our work that the use of food stamps or other public dollars being spent to support hunger in communities can be drastically lowered when people are given access and tenure to land to grow their own food on. When we look at the disparities in wealth, that usually goes back to land. Land historically has been used in this country as the vehicle to build wealth. And because that has usually only been given to white people to pass on to their children generation after generation, that has helped a lot of white people get to where they are as far as education, seed funding for businesses, et cetera, et cetera. And it has disproportionately changed where everyone and we are all finding ourselves at. I think this, why should we care about land or food or any of these things is what is the future that we all want to see? That's what we need to be thinking about.
Okay, thank you. Good answer. Okay, I have another question. Both of you can answer this, actually. What is the biggest lesson you've learned on your career journey?
I can. Or do you want to go first?
I can go.
Okay.
Geez. I know my answer. It's just not that, one line that's really cool and motivating. But I will say that after doing this for, nearly a decade, you fall victim to the idea of a silver bullet, that there's this one person, there's this one product, there's this, one firm or agency that is going to make all of your problems go away, right? And you'll think that, my sales aren't where I want them to be online, but if I pay this agency a monthly fee, they're going to drive this, and the results are this, this, and this. And that's not to say that partnerships with agencies and hiring new people isn't the right move. It's simply to say that there is no such thing as a silver bullet, as a one answer to fix all of your issues. And I don't care if that one issue is just in e-commerce, there will not be one person, one thing that will fix your issues. And that's the same thing I've learned throughout life. It will not be the one switch you make that will make you get an A in this class. The thing that has always, I have learned that is consistent through all of this is how hard will you work? And this is where that saying that the harder you work, the luckier you get, it's really true. You put yourself in a position of success and you start to move away from those ideas of silver bullets or one fixes, so.
I really love that because in our work, it's 400 million acres are about to transition land as the boomers age out and retire. And it's like with that much land in transition, there have to be many different models and ways of addressing this to make sure that just land transitions happen. So I really like that, not one thing. But for my answer, I think this is reminding me of a time that I was I had a meeting with a very predominant land trust, and we were talking about this collaboration on this potential funding opportunity, and I was like, you know what? We need to just do it this way. And he said, that's too bold. That'll never work. He was like, let's just play it safe. Let's go with something that we know will get funded. And I couldn't do it. And I didn't. And I went ahead and did it the way I wanted to, and it got us $15 million to buy farms for 5 different Black and Indigenous collectives around the country. And I remember thinking, this is not the time to play it safe. We are in a moment where we have to be bold. And that is my biggest learned lesson, is that we need to be bold. We do not have time to play it safe or play by status quo anymore.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And we have about 2 minutes left. So for this last question, for both of you, what is the most important thing that you want these students to take away today?
You want to go?
Yeah, I would just really love to continue a conversation with anyone, or to be in community and collaboration in any way. Follow us on your favorite social media. We're on TikTok, surely you guys are into that. Or sign up for our newsletter, check out the resources on our website, and just find ways that you cannot let go of that superhero dream you had as a child and how you can hold on to that and do that into adulthood too.
Yeah, no, I would probably echo that as well. I mean, before I went with the speech that I gave, I had an idea that I would talk about how we all have ideas. Every one of you had ideas this morning, who you're going to sit next to, what you wanted to eat, and you're going to have a ton of ideas the rest of your life. And some of them are going to be ones that you push down and ignore. Some of them you're going to follow. But I can tell you just two things that I would remember if I were you, and if I could go back in time. The quality of your ideas is reflected by the quality of the work and the thought that you put into them, right? And the more time that you spend on the class that you don't want to do, or you don't know why you'll ever use Pythagorean's theorem, or how's that ever going to come into play, the challenge and the work you put in now will ensure that your ideas in the future are better. I promise you that. And then the last thing to do would be to share. I mean, you're in an age of, you're growing up in more social media than we ever did, and you're bombarded with more ideas and more thoughts from different people. And I would challenge you to not take them at face value, and be open to people not taking your ideas at face value, and to really welcome the challenging of it. I mean, if there's one thing I have gotten used to, I shared the idea for Focus, but I shared Focus with you this morning, right? And every time I share that, I'm open to, I don't like it, it's not for me, etc. But you get used to that. You get used to the applause, and you get used to the boos. And it is something that you are just better at every aspect of your life. The more that you do that, the more you open yourself up for that. So that's what I'd want you to walk away from.
Okay, I think that's all the time we have, but thank you guys so much. If we can give them a
Thank you.
round of applause.
Thank you.